Maritime Radar, brought to you by the Nigerian Shippers Council.
Hello, and it's good to have you join us again on Maritime Radar. Inland water transportation provides a cost-effective, logistically efficient, and environmentally friendly mode of transport. Developing this supplementary mode will enable diversification of traffic from the over-congested roads, railways, and contribute immensely to economic and social development. Marine transport, either by inland waterways or over a shorter maritime distance, has the potential to greatly improve continental integration in Africa and transform the economies of African countries, especially landlocked and island states. But it needs the adequate support and an enabling governance framework. Repositioning Africa's water transportation sector towards economic growth and regional evolution are some of the issues that will be on the front burner on today's show. I am Norma Obiaswami. The challenge of safety on waterways has been on the front burner considering several boat mishaps seen across the region. These mishaps are based on regulatory lapses, poor implementation of safety standards, as well as human errors such as overloading, non-use of life jackets or use of expired jackets, overspeeding, weak boats, night sailing, amongst others. Water transportation is often a primary mode of commuting for many residents who want to avoid traffic. It's also a major source of transportation for those living in coastal communities. Thus, it is imperative to have safe, efficient, and modern boats. Before we get further into today's lineup on the show, let's find out the latest in maritime news.
The Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Adeboyega Oyetola, has intensified a wide-reaching campaign to secure Nigeria's election into Category C of the International Maritime Organization Council. The minister has been meeting with representatives of key maritime nations in what has been described as door-to-door diplomacy aimed at winning critical support ahead of the upcoming elections. Speaking to delegates on the sidelines of the ongoing 134th session of the IMO Council in London, Oyetola affirmed that Nigeria isn't just seeking a seat, but offering partnership, commitment and leadership, backed by maritime security experience, vast coastal potential, and a renewed agenda of collaboration and sustainability. Nigeria's campaign highlights its success in maritime security with zero piracy incidents for 3 years thanks to the deep blue architecture and regional cooperation. Oyetola emphasized that security is key to maritime prosperity and proof of what bold, coordinated action can achieve. The minister noted that Nigeria's inclusion in Category C would strengthen Africa's voice in global maritime governance. Reaffirming Nigeria's determination, he pledged to uphold IMO's values of safety, security and environmental responsibility. He also added that a vote for Nigeria is a vote for a more inclusive and resilient maritime future. The Secretary General of the International Maritime Organization, Arsenio Dominguez, has called for renewed diplomatic efforts following the resurgence of deadly attacks on merchant vessels in the Red Sea. Speaking at the opening of the 134th IMO Council session in London, Dominguez condemned the July 6 and 7 assaults on bulk carriers Magic Seas and Eternity Sea. The attack on Eternity Sea claimed 3 lives and injured several crew members, while Magic Seas was heavily damaged and later sunk after all 22 seafarers were safely evacuated. Dominguez described the renewed violence after a 9-month calm as a grave violation of international law and freedom of navigation. He stressed that innocent seafarers and coastal communities bear the brunt of the violence and environmental harm. Reaffirming the IMO's commitment to maritime safety, Dominguez urged all member states and stakeholders to intensify diplomatic engagements, calling dialogue the only viable path to resolution. According to IMO and flag state data, at least 69 verified attacks on international shipping were recorded between November 23 and October 2024, though broader estimates suggest the number now exceeds 100. The recent incidents are the first since October 2024.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Maritime Radar. The Regional Ferry Conference held in Lagos recently brought to fore the need to harmonize policies and establish robust regional frameworks that will ensure a safer and more efficient cross-border ferry operations. The need to also ensure adequate infrastructure becomes apt to meet the needs of the future, positioning ferry transport as a vital component of urban and regional mobility to alleviate congestion, enhance connectivity, and promote environmentally friendly transportation options. The role ferry transport plays in Africa's blue economy cannot be overemphasized, ensuring job creation, trade facilitation, and fostering sustainable coastal development. In this chat with Oluwadamilola Emmanuel, General Manager, Lagos State Waterways Authority LASWA, shares on the move to commute 100,000 passengers daily in Lagos, Nigeria, and the innovation that has been put in place to protect the waterways. This and many more after this short break. Please stay with us. Okay, it's good to have you join us on the show again.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to be here.
Let's start this conversation looking at this ambition of Lagos State to move about 100,000 passengers daily on the inland waterways. What strategies do you have in place to achieve this?
Well, first of all, as you know, Lagos State is diversifying from road transportation to also make use of rail transportation and, of course, water transportation. So to enable us to be able to ramp up our current figures, we have to always have a projection of how many people want to move on a daily basis to contribute to this whole multimodal transportation system. So one of the things we're looking to do through an investment which is coming in is to get more of the ferries, and of course also improve the suitability of the jetties and terminals to accommodate more passengers. So we're going to be providing more ferries and also adapting the jetties and the terminals to accommodate more passengers.
So any campaign towards this, because people might be concerned about safety, the cost and all that. So what have you been able to do to look at these concerns?
Well,
because even you are projecting, you also look at concerns of people to it.
Most definitely, and which is why we're not just, we're looking at non-carbon emission ferries. Okay. So which is electric ferries.
Okay.
This is hybrid electric ferry, not just purely electric, because you can't just bring purely electric mobility to any transportation mode. There has to be other sources to support the electric. So it's hybrid electric vessels, and hybrid electric is going to ensure that the current operational cost is reduced by almost 50%. And once you can do that, then it makes it easier for the operators themselves. It makes their businesses more viable, and of course there'll be around the price of the tickets as well. Okay. We can have more reasonable prices, and because it's also integrated transportation between the rail, the water, and the road, it makes it more affordable.
Okay, talk to us more about maybe in a few minutes about the electric bus that Lagos State is investing in.
Well, this is part of a wider project called the Omi Eco project. Okay. This is an ambitious project of the state government, which will be able to secure foreign funding of 410 million euros, which is a loan and a grant, which is going to see the influx of over 70 electric ferries, upgrading of 20 jetties and terminals, dredging and channelization of 140 kilometers of the inland waterways, and capacity building for the agency which is going to implement this as well as a fund for the existing local operators, because what happens with this kind of new systems is that the existing operators almost see it as, are we still going to have a business?
Because you can't meet up with this. So looking at the kind of boats they have. But the truth be told,
we've gotten them to organize themselves into cooperatives. So now that they have cooperatives, they as well can tie in because cooperatives form a larger volume, and then they can also now be able to also partake of this new venture.
Okay, talk to us about the policies and regional framework reached at the just concluded regional conference that you think will ensure a safe, a more efficient cross-border ferry operations, because a lot of that was conversations during the conference.
Yeah, well, first of all is to understand each territory that is within, and this is West and Central Africa we're focusing on now, is to understand its territory and what is its territory doing to have a functional water transportation system. Because if you're not functioning locally, there's no point trying to function internationally. And there's no point trying to function whether you call it national or international.
Regional, whatever.
Or regional, whether it's regional.
You have to start
start properly, which is why we've, of course, understood what is going on in Lagos, improved on our systems, and then look at the neighboring states as well and say, okay, what is your ferry transportation like? Let's begin to compare one to another. And the Regional Ferry Safety Conference, which was just had, enabled us to be able to benchmark against international best standards. Now, once we've done that and improved our services, the question then is, okay, how do we ensure there's a seamless transition, there's seamless transportation from, like, for example, Lagos to Cotonou? How do we do that seamlessly, ensuring that, you know, all necessary permits are attained and gotten, all necessary entry and exit protocols are adhered to? These are where we now have that conversation. But for now, it's to still ensure that locally everyone is well, I'll say, secured, and at the same time has the necessary infrastructure to begin to go across regions. But the opportunity is there, but it just shows that we need more infrastructure. Once the infrastructure is in place, then we can open the conversation.
I agree with you totally, because infrastructure is also key.
Absolutely.
And I think the way you are going about it is very right, because you just have to get it right locally before you could move. So what are the key elements in the communique that was reached in the conference, that and what plans do you think will ensure implementation, you know, beyond the talk? What is the implementation? Because we need to address both accidents in the region. Although you said we have to start from home, but that is the expectation, that after this kind of conference where there was a robust conversations around this, we should expect both accidents really being addressed. I'm not saying totally, but you know.
Okay, so why do we have the conference? We had the conference because we wanted the operators to also understand how things are done on an international basis, right? And we made sure they were in the room. They were there, seated in the room, and they benefited. I'm sure you bear witness that they were there from beginning till the end. Most conferences like this, after the first, second day, you don't see a lot of people, but the room hall was still full, even on the second day, to show you that this is serious business, right? So they've understood, and the good thing about it is that there's also, what has also been set up is also a mentorship program, a mentorship program for local boat operators to work very closely with international boat operators, because the international boat operators have all of the standards which they should have. That's one thing we're able to do in terms of next steps. So next steps for us has been the fact that we are able to then ensure that that mentoring program helps the existing local boat operators. That for us are our next steps. Secondly, another thing that came out of it is that there must be synergy amongst all, whether state or national regulatory agencies. That synergy is so important, where we are in alignment with our policies. And this is something that, I mean, at the Regional Ferry Safety Conference, you saw it there. The national body was there, NEWA. We could have done it on our own, but we invited them. They were in the room, so it shows you that we're already working together. And they heard it, that we have to ensure that anything we're trying to plan for must be done together. So, and then of course, the need for continuous investment in infrastructure on the side of government as well. And of course, it goes without saying capacity building and critical and continuing to spread awareness, because awareness is so important for water transportation, to ensure that people are definitely aware of, you know, basic safety measures to always adhere to, especially because of the issue of accidents.
So we'll be looking at the strategies to protect our waterways, but that will be after this short break. Please stay with us.
For more than 5 decades, we have empowered and protected the interests of shippers in the nation's maritime industry. Our focus is to facilitate trade, regulate tariffs and rates, as well as handle shippers' complaints on cargo losses, damage and non-delivery. We offer dispute resolution mechanism for shipping and trade disputes between shippers and service providers. We are Nigerian Shippers Council, Nigeria's port economic regulator, your gateway to a thriving maritime sector. Nigerian Shippers Council will meet you at the port of your need.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Maritime Raid, and I still have with me Oluwadamilola Emmanuel. He is the General Manager, Lagos State Waterways Authority, known as LASWA. Before we went on that break, I said I want us to look at the improved strategies or innovations that will protect our waterways, enhance connectivity, you know, and also promote environmentally friendly water transportation. So what are those innovations? Yes, I know you've mentioned some strategies that you've put in place, but specifically we want to hear from you. What critical innovations that are you putting in place? Now you have international partners.
Well, one of them is very critical, is to have, like I mentioned earlier and I'll mention again, is the hybrid electric ferries, because that way you're reducing your carbon emissions and reducing our greenhouse gas emissions that's affecting the general environment. With that, we know that, you know, we're definitely going to be helping to improve the environment as it is, even both in the air and even also in the water.
Okay, so do you have something like data? Do you have something like monitoring systems, you know, that ensures protection, that passengers on the waterways are being protected? There's something that signals there's a danger here, people need help, something like that. Those are kind of innovations that will protect our waters.
So we're talking on the environment first. So we touched environment. Now, in terms of how we're improving the waterways, I mean, LASWA already, almost 2 years ago, set up, first of its kind, a waterways monitoring and data management center. So we're monitoring real time through technology what's going on our waterways now. We're gathering data, all of the data that's coming at all our jetties, how many passengers and how many boats are berthing on a daily basis is being fed back to that control room. So we're using technology to be able to ensure that indeed we can monitor our waterways, we can gather relevant data, and we can even provide data for the security of outfits, because they as well need the data that we have and all we're seeing to be able to let them know and warn people of impending dangers. And just recently now, we're also partnering with NIMET to be able to ensure that we can plan and prepare for and inform our own stakeholders of different weather forecasts, especially with around the times when the rain starts, to be able to ensure that they can understand various weather conditions.
Okay, the conference is over, but I want to know, with MOCA and Interferry, do you still have the backing and the support that will ensure growth, regional evolution, and also what next with these international partners? Really, is it just they've supported and they've told you what to do and all that? Does it just end there? What next?
Well, I've mentioned already, we have the mentoring program. The mentoring program is between LASWA and Interferry. And this mentoring, the Interferry is providing the international operators while LASWA is also on its own side bringing in local operators, and there's a handshake going on between both parties. So that is one takeaway.
So you're saying that you're still getting their support even after?
Yeah, that's why I said the mentoring program has been settled, and the mentoring program is for the local boat operators in Lagos. Lagos is the first place they're starting. And of course, for MOCA has the of course the mandate to ensure that there's proper maritime operations in all of the West and Central African states. So the next thing for MOCA would be to organize this same thing in another West or Central African state. And of course, we being the first would definitely be supporting them to see how well, so that they can learn from all what we did, whether the challenges or whether the successes, shared with them as well, and partner with them as well as they continue to spread the way, because we also know that, look, within the West and Central Africa, maritime must be developed.
Okay, talk us through the essential role that ferry transport should play in Africa's blue economy. That is to ensure job generation, trade facilitation, sustainable coastal development, and many more when it comes to blue economy. Yeah.
Well, the blue economy is large, and the inland waterways is definitely a very critical component, because even when you look at shipping still needs the smaller vessels around it. So it's going to feed the bigger vessels. That's just one. So feeding and providing logistical support to even the bigger vessels. You mentioned it, job creation, youth employment is also there. Trade facilitation, movement of passengers, and from one point to another point, movement of goods from one point to another point as well. We're seeing also, a lot of riverine,
even the development in these coastal communities.
The riverine communities as well. We're seeing development, because that is what, for them, it's a major means of transportation. Many of them don't have road transportation. They rely on water transportation. So that is also community development, coastal development, riverine development as well as happening through the inland waterway. So it's a very critical component of the blue economy. And it's one of those ones that I would say is at the very foundation of even the bigger players in the blue economy.
Okay, the 10-year national policy is out. So how is LASWA or Lagos State tapping into the blue economy? Because Lagos should be a place to also drive, because we are surrounded by water. Yes. So what is Lagos State doing to tap into this national policy?
Well, I think Lagos State has always been flowing in this area, but it's good that we now have a national policy which can give a very clear direction and clarity for Lagos State. So really, we had been doing all the things that we should be doing, but now we have a policy that is guiding. And what Lagos State is doing is ensuring that it entrenches all of the different practices, initiatives, programs, all of these things, and ensuring that, look, we now begin to spread the word that, look, it should be this national policy will sit as a national policy, but to really have it effective, it has to be brought down to state implementation level. So we have frequent engagements now, even with the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy. I mean, one state has even taken, a further step by setting up an Office of Marine and Blue Economy in the state. That's Bayelsa State.
Yes, Bayelsa, yes.
Bayelsa has that as well. So
a few months ago.
I believe that other states as well, will be replicating the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy, very soon.
We'll be able to drive.
Yeah, so that they work hand in hand. It's just like the Federal Ministry of Finance, Federal Ministry of Transport, Federal Ministry of Finance, Federal Ministry of Transport. They have State Ministry of Finance, State Ministry of Transport, and we're seeing how things are more effective. So I would say, look, as Lagos State is positioning in such a way that we as well have such a ministry which will be set up, and then that might be one of the ways to further amplify and be able to ensure there's appropriate implementation
directly
for that policy.
To be able to address that.
Yes, and that direct contact with all the stakeholders through the policy.
Critical, really. So let's look at tourism, which is a critical part of blue economy. What's the plan to tap into its potential? I know Lagos State is doing something, but it has to be loud.
Well, Lagos has always promoted ecotourism and waterways tourism. However, like you said, much louder, much more structured, And of course, even with what we see in December, where there's an influx of so many people coming to Lagos, it's one of the key components that must tie into all what we're trying to do. So what does water transportation offer to tourism? It's an enabler for tourism because, as you know, we have several beaches in Lagos, several coastal communities, several shoreline communities as well, which rely on water transportation. So water transportation is going to be supporting a lot of the movement of people from land to all of these resort centers, and even providing tours for people to see the beauty of Lagos by the water. We have so many foreigners who come strictly for one reason. They want to go and see where the slavery happened in Badagry, the point of no return. They come here, they fly in Nigeria. That's all they want to see, especially from Brazil. I don't know, because Brazil.
So there has to be a structure.
Yeah. So one of the things we do is have now tour packages. Okay. There are companies, private companies, because obviously it's not governments. Okay. Governments should enable these tour companies. Okay. So these tour companies, there are about 2 or 3 of them are set up now, and all they do is offer packages for you to either go to Badagry, go to Ekpe, or go to any of the Ilashe or beach resorts here as well.
Okay, before I let you go, it's half year. Yeah. So what more are we expecting from Lagos Waterways in the remaining half of the year?
Yeah, the launch of the Omi-Eko project will be coming up towards the last quarter of the year, and that for us is major, to basically saying that, look, not only have you been hearing that the fact that Lagos is planning big for its waterways, we're actually having a formal launch of that product as well. And of course, continuing to improve safety. We're happy that in Lagos this year, there's been minimal incidents on the waterways. We're very sad about the incidents we're hearing in other states, and that's why we want to keep ensuring that there's peer-to-peer learning with other states as well. But of course, continuing to ramp up the thing around the fact that, the issue around the fact that we must ensure that water transportation speaks a lot more.
I look forward to Lagos State really tapping into more of this blue economy potentials and seeing how far we can really harness the many latent potentials on the blue economy. I wish you well, and
thank you so
we look forward to the launch, and we look forward to the electric bus, the electric ferries, and all that. So well done in all you do, and thank you for setting the pace, and we look forward to these collaborations as you've mentioned. Thank you very much for your time and your thoughts on the show.
Thank you so much.
It's been Oluwadamilola Emmanuel. He's the General Manager, Lagos Waterways Authority, LASWA. Thank you very much for your time and your thoughts once again.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And that's our show this week. I hope that this episode has been able to spotlight the role ferry transport plays in Africa's blue economy and the regional policies, collaborations, innovations that is required to foster a sustainable coastal development. Join us every week on Maritime Radar as we explore how Africa can harness the latent potential of its blue economy. You can also expect the latest in global and local maritime news and industry insights right here. I am Norma Obiaswalo. Many thanks for your time, and see you again next week.
Maritime Radar, brought to you by the Nigerian Shippers Council.